Hello and welcome to Season 2 of Teacher Talk, the podcast for teachers who are lifers but still want to have a life. I'm Jared, and as always, I'm joined by my partner, Johanna. Hey, Johanna.
Hello, Jared.
What are we going to talk about today?
We are going to talk about resetting your behavior expectations.
I can't spell resetting. Resetting. We need to reset how I wrote that. Resetting behavior expectations?
Yes. Or creating / teaching, just fixing behaviors. Maybe we should call it fixing behaviors.
Fixing behaviors?
Yes.
So you're talking about like when you start to lose the handle.
Yeah, it's not going as well as you wish it had been.
Because generally it doesn't manifest on the very first day.
Yeah, by now it's probably ramped.
We don't necessarily know when now is because people aren't listening to this live.
Okay, that's true. So right now...
But by like the middle of the semester...
It doesn't matter. I feel like you could go into any classroom anytime and they'd be like, oh man, I gotta make some changes. This is not going well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we've talked a lot about how to start the behavior management plan.
Yes.
In the context of the first days of school.
Yes.
Classic podcast episodes.
Correct. Still highly listened to, by the way. Some of our most listened to are the how to start it out.
Well, they're good episodes. But this is like, oh, we did it, and then inevitably it gets more difficult.
Or I didn't do it.
Okay.
And now it's difficult.
So we've established patterns of behavior, they've developed patterns of behavior that we need to stop and create new patterns.
Yes. Okay. So here's where this comes from. I had some visitors to my classroom, and they commented on the behaviors of my students because they were surprised at...
Your students look like they're like drugged by some gas that you pump in. Well,
they felt like what they saw was like perfect behaviors. And I'm like, oh my goodness, no. I had a kid in the Peace Corner. I had 2 kids need to go and fill out reflections. Like behaviors were occurring and they didn't notice it.
It doesn't cause your classroom to go off the rails.
Yeah, and it doesn't really influence how I teach. I mean...
Let's pick on the podium teachers, the lectern teachers again. My favorite thing.
Why?
Because it's...
I mean, I do some of that.
The only correct form of teaching, as is known, is to have all eyes front and on the teacher who is talking from a lectern.
How does this even apply to what we're talking about?
I'll get there.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
As we know, that's the correct form of teaching.
That is what you prefer.
It's the only proper form of teaching. Everything else is like preschool stuff.
Okay.
And that method, although perfect, has a flaw. I guess it's not perfect then. It's still the best, obviously. But one of its few flaws is if one person in the entire set and stare group starts to misbehave, it takes the entire lecture off the rails.
Right, but this episode is not about how to teach your classroom. This doesn't matter if you are a stand and talk to your class teacher, more of a lecturer, or if
how
you
are
do
you still
small
listening
groups.
to this podcast if you're a stand and lecture teacher?
I just had a week where my whole group instruction was close to 15 minutes. That's a lot. I mean, I'm just saying there's a time and a place. But it made me realize that everyone might now reach a point in their teaching career where they're like, this isn't going well and I need to know how to change it. And so this episode, doesn't matter how you teach, this episode is about resetting the behaviors.
Got it.
Yeah. It's not good, you don't like it, and you want it to be different.
It's like Secretary of State Hillary with Russia says we're going to hit the reset button.
Okay.
Except better than that.
Okay. So, shall we get started?
You remember that?
And I'm just trying to get into the episode.
Okay. She actually brought a reset button.
All right. So anyway, do you want to ask me some questions about resetting the behaviors?
Do you have a reset button?
No.
How do you start? I'm going to skip. How do you know that you need to reset? Because you just do. Right?
Yeah.
Got it.
You just do.
All right. How do you start the reset?
First, you prepare.
First, prepare.
Yes.
I don't like to prepare.
Nope. But if you reset the classroom behavior expectations by saying, this isn't good, guys, and we got to change it, nothing's going to change. And now you've taken away all sorts of power. So instead, you have to let your behaviors stay as they are, and you have to prepare for the change so that everything is ready when you actually do the reset.
So don't call attention to it until you're ready to reset.
Yep.
Because that actually digs you deeper.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep. And even once you've prepared everything, then you have to prepare the students for the fact that, like, this isn't good and we're going to be resetting. So
already my plan is to burst into the showers, throw a bunch of baseball bats, and then talk about how it's a simple game.
Oh, gosh. We're back to Bull Durham.
but everyone's lollygagging.
Okay.
And then what's our record?
3-2.
8-16.
8-16.
Yeah. How are we 8-16? It's a miracle.
I need more hate mail to come to Jared because he's encouraged by all you people who send emails to say that they think he's cute with his stories.
That's a reset, though.
Yes. Okay, they did a reset. That's true.
That's exactly what he was. They were playing poorly.
Yeah.
The behaviors of the individuals collectively weren't what was needed.
I would actually do the polar opposite of how that reset was done.
Okay, well, this will make it more interesting to think about in contrast to their kids scare them.
Because it's not you versus the kids. You have to be on the same team, right? It's us. We as a team are not doing well. We got to reset. Okay.
So don't announce it until you're ready.
Yeah.
What do you do to get ready?
Okay, to get ready, the easy one is, do you have expectations for your classroom? And I'm going to put a limit. You get 4 expectations. 4. Not 5, not 10, not 12, 4.
5 is right out.
Yeah, 4. You get 4 expectations. They should be holistic expectations, not things like we raise our hand in the classroom.
Can I do less if I want?
Do less. I have 3.
Okay. Up to 4.
Up to 4, right? Keep them grand. I use the stereotypical PBIS, respectful, responsible, and safe. And then you can discuss, like, well, what does it look like to be safe when we're whole group instruction? Or what does it look like to be responsible when we're in our small groups? Or what does it look like to be respectful when someone else in the classroom is talking and has the floor? All of that, that's fine, but keep them grand, have the rules. Okay, now you might already have the rules, but...
I was going to say, I would have already had that.
But then the most things that teachers don't have is they don't have any sort of planned response for when the rules don't go according to plan. So like the teachers that were visiting my classroom, or teachers who have visited my classroom, they think that behaviors aren't occurring or violations of the rules aren't occurring, and that's not true. They are. That's in every classroom. It's just that I have a pre-planned response for how I'm going to respond, and then the kids know that response plan. So it's like a non-event. And that's why, unless you're looking for it, you don't see it happen.
That's why it's not disruptive.
Right.
Not because of your classroom design, although I'd argue that probably helps a lot.
It probably helps a lot.
But the main thing is for it not to be all of a sudden a conflict is arisen.
You're working with children.
And now we have to see who wins the argument over whether or not this person will actually be punished this time or not.
Yeah. A 16-year-old is going to look at their phone when they're not supposed to. They're going to sneak it in when they're not supposed to. A 13-year-old is going to try and get the attention of someone else across the room. A 7-year-old is going to struggle to sit still on the mat, or they're going to make random noises, all of those things are going to happen. So you have to have a planned response that is taught to the kids that functions like a ladder.
Yes.
A ladder.
A ladder?
Uh-huh. Do you want to ask me what you need in your ladder?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rungs and whatever the things that are on the sides that rungs attach to.
Okay.
It's basically a ladder.
Yes. So your rules
could be rope.
The rules are the rules, the expectations are your big long side pieces.
Yep.
And then the rungs are the supports you need to help people meet those expectations.
Example.
Okay. So you're going to have a pre-planned how to tell a kid to knock it off. So this could be that, and if you, the fewer students you teach, the more you can have kids involved in creating this plan.
Okay.
So if you work with a very small number of students, I would have them involved in all this planning process. If you work with a high number of students, then obviously you're going to have to take over this planning process.
This doesn't answer my request for an example.
Telling a kid to knock it off.
I'll hold up a yellow flag.
Sure. You could have the thing that in your classroom when you hand a kid a yellow piece of paper, that's their knock it off. Or a stop and think card. Or you could just tell a kid to knock it off. Or however it is, but you're going to have step 1 is the common response, which is the teacher tells the kid to stop doing it. Or the students are able to tell each other to stop doing it.
Yell at them until they're too afraid to say anything?
No.
Okay.
Then you're going to have a response for when that doesn't work, because that should work a lot of the time, but it will work even more if the kids know what will happen when it didn't work.
Got it.
So you told the kid to knock it off. You told them to put the phone away.
You made them aware of the rule violation and that they should stop.
Yeah, they're not meeting the expectations of being respectful in the classroom. Now, what are you going to do?
Yell at them.
No, don't have that be the next response.
You have a punishment, a consequence.
You can. You could have it be that
10 demerits for Gryffindor.
Okay.
You arrange your classroom into 4 houses.
You could have it be that the response is that they get a new seat, or you could have the response be that they now lose some sort of freedom that's provided in the classroom for meeting the expectations. I prefer to have students choose to either take a break or to communicate to me what's going on. But you could have it consequence-based. That's not how I roll. I find it's easier to have, the expectation is that we right now are sitting on the mat and listening to the instruction. If you don't want to meet those, I already gave you a reminder. The reminder didn't work. If you don't want to meet those expectations, your choices are to either go take a break, or in that I have a peace corner, or go to the think time chair and tell me what's going on.
The reflection?
Yeah, they fill out a reflection. Little kids, they tell me about their emotions. Adult students, wrong words. Older kids are telling me more reflective, what choice did they make? Why did they make that choice? What would be a different choice they could have made to have a better outcome?
I feel like we're just talking about behavior management here.
Yeah.
What's this got to do with resetting then?
Well, because if you are needing to reset, there's a chance you don't have what I'm describing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So background is refresh your own application of your behavior management plan.
Or create one. See, you're programmed to me, and so you think in your head like every teacher has a behavior management plan. I'm going to tell you almost no
we
teachers.
have episodes of this podcast talking about that.
I know, but most teachers don't have one. Most teachers don't think they need to have one. But right now, potentially while this teacher is listening to this, they're thinking, I don't have a plan for what to do when they don't meet my expectations. And I just make it up as I go.
Well, let's talk quick for new listeners then about why that's crucially bad.
To not have a plan?
To make it up as you go.
Oh, well, because it's personal.
It's personal. Which makes it emotional.
They think that what they're doing, I get this, is that they're like, I love Jared as a person. He is my student. I care for him so much. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an individualized plan for Jared because I love him and it is under the conditions of making Jared successful. And they think it's all about love.
Yes. It is about love.
But Jared's not going to see it that way.
Yeah, I'm going to be unhappy I got told what to do.
Well, this person over here didn't have to change theirs. They're going to make it personal, but in the way you don't want them to make it personal. Like, they're going to see how you didn't treat them the same as everyone else. And kids who experience inconsistency in their life, they could potentially wig
Go
out.
watch. You should put this in the show notes, the link to The Monkey and the Grape. Key insights to all human behavior, especially children human behavior, is The Monkey and the Grape.
What's The Monkey and the Grape?
How have you not seen this?
Oh, is this where the one monkey gets a grape and then the other monkey gets like a cucumber and then he sees that the other person got a grape and he gets really, really angry and like throws his cucumber? Spoiler, except you can't really spoil it. You have to see it to believe it. You just have to see it.
But the monkey gets a cucumber first and it's fine. I like cucumbers. That's great.
Yeah.
And then the neighbor monkey gets a grape.
Yeah.
And then the first monkey that already liked the cucumber gets another cucumber, but not a grape, and cannot even.
No. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember. He sets fire to the fire trucks. Freaks out.
Yeah. Just in your human brain works like this too. As an adult, you've learned to deal with it better.
I mean,
children though act like this basically 100% of the time.
Look, here's the worst case scenario. You create a plan that's like, well, Jared just can't behave. Jared just can't sit still, which could be true that Jared cannot sit still. I either can say, Jared, you're just never going to be successful, so I'm not going to ever expect you to learn to sit still.
That's the soft bigotry of low expectations.
Yeah. Like, don't do that. Like, I have kids who cannot sit still, but we have strategies that any kid in my class could use for when they can't sit still. And a leader in my classroom is going to use those strategies. And if some kid never uses it and the other kid uses it every single day, it's consistent. So plan for it. Okay, so leaders have to have expectations of what to do when it's not going well. So like, let's say you have a classroom where you just have a lot of drama. Like they are always wanting to talk about who's doing what, who's doing da. You should have a plan for how leaders manage drama, gossip in your classroom.
Gossip to
because it's not going to go away.
Yeah.
You're not going to get rid of it. So you have to have a plan for what to do when they do it. Right? So if you have that doesn't feed what they want. So I don't get to go over to so-and-so and talk about what I saw someone else doing during passing time or during recess. If I am doing things that fuel drama, I go and fill out a reflection about what I saw. I'm making this up. Maybe that's not what you want in your classroom as a response, but go ahead and plan out the response.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other thing, in addition to the monkey and the grape problem of it seeming unfair, it also, by having it be the plan's rule instead of your rule, it depersonalizes it, and there's just less to argue about.
Yes. So
It's like, well, I mean, I'd like to let you off the hook, but I mean, the plan, the plan says.
So Jared is gesturing to the wall like there's a plan on it.
They can't see me, but yes.
It's got to be. And
like Hammurabi.
Teachers hate doing this, Jared. They hate it.
Yeah, but I was already pointing at the wall.
But they hate it with a passion because they feel like it limits them.
No, having to like negotiate every single discipline interaction from scratch limits you.
But it's like that one room schoolhouse. Like, so I teach a course where teachers have to create a behavior management plan, and posting their responses, like, only because it is graded do they make this poster. And even then, sometimes I have to ask for it, and even then I bet they don't put it up on the wall. And it's their biggest downfall. And I know why they're doing it. They're doing it from this huge place of love and compassion and support. But you cannot be personal. It cannot be personal. If it's not a plan you're willing to do with every single kid, then change your plan. And it's okay to have a part of the plan be...
I mean, you're like escalated, like once we're in like serious trouble land, in those rare instances, you could be personal.
Yes.
But you're like frontline discipline. Yeah, it can be personal if you want, but it's going to be 20 times as much work.
So,
and
yeah.
At best, half as successful.
So for me, elementary, it's step 4 or it's level 4. For me, when I was secondary, it was level 5. That means I'm basically creating a behavior intervention plan for that student, even though it's not a formalized one. So if taking breaks doesn't work, if filling out reflections doesn't work, if contacting home doesn't work, then now I am having a team of people help me create a plan. And in secondary, the students are involved in that plan. The older the students are, where we're like, okay, how are we going to have you be successful? So then you're creating plans that are individualized for like, how are we going to prevent poor behavior choices? And then how are we going to respond when you make poor behavior choices? But gosh, I mean, I tend to teach the entire school, and I could have hundreds of students and only maybe 3 of them need that intense level who aren't already identified. If you create this ladder system, you're going to just... And that's why those teachers who observed my classroom, the behaviors that they expect to see in a classroom were still occurring in my classroom. It's just that my behavior management plan took care of it.
And that's why I pointed at the poster that they still can't see. Because it's so much benefit from the poster's rule.
Yeah.
Which is there because it was our rule, ideally, right? Like we sat as a class and decided that was a fair rule. And then now it's the poster's rule. It's not yours.
Yeah.
So much easier.
But then the response, so much better. It's the same thing. Like,
because there's nothing to argue about.
Like, I expect if I am speeding to get a ticket. What I don't expect if I am speeding is to be arrested and put in jail for 3.
Okay.
I'm just saying our society is set up this way. Like knowing...
Speeding is maybe a bad example because it's very rarely enforced in practice, right? Well, you can get away with speeding a whole bunch.
Okay.
And someone got pulled over speeding might be right next to someone who didn't get pulled over speeding.
Fair enough.
But
okay.
Your point is that rules are...
The response...
They're objective, they're proportional, and they escalate with repeated violations.
For example, if they did that monkey experiment again, but they switched so that every other time they got a grape or they got a cucumber.
Eventually they'd learn to chill.
Yeah.
Because they're like, well, this is my cucumber day. Tomorrow is my grape day. I don't know. Do monkey brains work like that? I bet they do.
I don't know, but let's say the first guy got a cucumber, and then the second guy got a grape, and then the next guy got a cucumber, but then the other dude got I don't know if they can do 3-part patterns. But then he got handed a grape, and then he saw his friend got a cucumber, and then he, like, So I'm just saying that, okay, this is going to get into it. Once you have your plan, once you have your posters, then you need to have some sort of break. A weekend will work. You prep them on the Friday, but really a nice long break works even better. That this is what you're going to do. Go ahead and teach it to them the day before the weekend. Reteach it and repractice it that Monday. And then like create a system for how you're going to hold each other accountable and expect that first week, it's going to be rough. It's going to be a little bit like the monkey with the cucumber.
Yeah.
Because they are going to break the rules to see if you stick with it.
Right.
You're going to have all sorts of kids get to like whatever level you created, and it's like, now I'm having to send kids to the office, or now I'm having to contact parents, or now I'm having to create individual plans for kids. Which if they want to see examples of this, my Teacher Pay Teacher site actually has all my behavior management stuff posted.
There you go.
But it will get...
Which we should probably just have a permanent link to your personal
people,
website.
I also get to emails about where's my website. I don't have a website. Don't have a website yet.
Hopefully by the time you're listening to this...
I don't. When am I going to have the time for that?
Sometime in the future, you're coming back to these old episodes and we'll be like, oh, well, yeah, there is a website.
If they search for past episodes, they can get more information about how to create the actual behavior management plan.
Maybe they're listening to the past episodes on your site.
Oh, God.
Who knows?
So much.
Anyway, examples on your Teacher Pay Teacher site.
Yeah, I have my whole thing posted. I have the posters. I have the response posters. I have all the reflections I use. Everything does happen to be there if they wanted it.
But they're going to explore the boundaries. It's going to be tough, but gotta stick with it.
Yeah, it will get better. But week 1 of the behavior reset will be worse. And then week 2 will be significantly better. And then by week 3, all of a sudden you'll be like, wow, the behaviors don't magically disappear, but they are like drastically reduced and they do not influence instruction at all.
Got it. Is this all I need to know?
This is all you need to know.
Recap. We're going to reset behavior expectations.
Yes.
First, before you even say anything to the kid, complaining to the kids, probably the first step is just whine out loud to the students about how you're unhappy with their behaviors.
Oh, Jared.
No, is that not good? Does that not help?
This is a recap. Focus it in.
Don't do that. Don't even say anything. First, prepare. And really, you're going to prepare what you should have already done. You listen to the old podcast episode about behavior management plans. You're like, oh, yeah, okay. But then you didn't do it. And now you're living with the consequences.
Well, to be fair, I fall off my own wagon sometimes. Like, I have all this stuff, and sometimes I'm like, what has happened to my behavior? And then I'm like, oh, yeah, I didn't. Like, I have a class right now of kindergartners, and we're gonna do a behavior reset. We're just gonna reset.
But you don't have to make your behavior management plan from scratch. It's already there. You
no,
just
I'm
need
gonna
to
I just
refocus on
gotta
it.
reteach it, and then we gotta because it.
So the key elements of the plan is you have up to 4, no more expectations.
Yep.
Yours are, we're going to be respectful, we're going to be responsible, we're going to be safe.
Yep.
Which is just ways to frame violations as within the spirit of those things, right?
Yes.
Like that behavior there, was that safe?
Yes.
Throwing the scissors at your classmate?
Oh my. Yes.
is neither safe nor responsible nor respectful. That would be all 3.
It would.
But it just gives you a framing device for why the behavior is wrong, right?
Yes.
The expectations. You have a ladder, which is your escalating objective discipline plan for violations.
Yes.
And probably the first one is to just call it out.
Yes.
And then the second one is a thing that you have to do. Go to the Peace Corner, do a reflection, and they can look up your own plan on the Teacher Pay Teacher. And then you have to Hammurabi it, to Moses it. It's going on tablets on the wall.
Yes.
So it's the wall's rule, not yours, whenever you're enforcing.
And you, the teacher, are your worst enemy. you will not be consistent. And if it's on the wall, that poster is not about the kids seeing your response. That poster is you. That's for you. Put it where you can see it so you feel bad when you don't do what it says.
And we could talk for a long time about why this works better than individual arguments over exactly how the discipline's going to work every single time. But we go back and listen to the other behavior episodes, or you can rewind on this one. Rewind. You can skip back on this one and talk about the monkey and the grape. Go watch the video and why having it not be personal makes everything better. You're going to introduce your reset before a break, at least a weekend, a Friday, ideally even longer, and say, hey, guys and gals and non-binary pals, the behaviors, we're not doing a good job, guys. So starting Monday.
Well, and you can say, I'm not doing right by you as your teacher.
Okay.
Like we all deserve a classroom where what we are here to do is learn. And I, as your teacher, need to do a better job.
So we
like
have...
to just take the fault. Make it your fault.
Okay.
Because why not?
Right. So have a nice weekend. And Monday morning, we're going to come in committed to our expectations, our responsible, respectful, safe behavior.
Yep, we're going to be teaching and practicing and learning and reteaching and relearning. Be willing, have content to teach, but be willing to have all you teach is behavior.
There's going to be a lot of focus on the behavior.
Yeah.
Because that's how the reset works.
Yeah.
And then week one will be tough because they're going to explore the boundaries.
Oh, yeah, they are. Because first day of school, they're more willing to be like, oh, okay, that's just what they expect. But if they like know you, you're more like a sibling who said like, I don't want you to do that to me anymore. And then the sibling is like, oh yeah. Then
what happens
I'm gonna do it more. Like, are they? Yeah. Oh yeah. This is gonna get. You need to be prepared. You need to be prepared for every kid filling out a reflection. You need to be prepared for you calling the family of every child. Depending on how bad this is, like, you need to let the office know, like, this is what I'm doing. If they're reaching level 4 or whatever it is, like, this is where they're headed. Better yet, if it's real bad, get yourself adult help and adult backup. Because
for this 1 week.
Yeah, really for the first 2 days. If they're going to push it, it's going to happen in the first 2 days.
And then by week 2, everything will be much better.
Yeah, you just got to stick with it. If you slip just once,
does a lot of damage.
And Lord help you getting it back after that.
Because it's like seeing behind the curtain and seeing Oz there, right?
Yeah.
Like once they know that it's really not the poster, it's still just you deciding things on an individual case basis, all the problems come back.
Oh.
But if you do a good job, week 3, it's going to be like magic.
Oh, yeah.
And the behaviors will still happen, but they won't cause disruption in the class.
Yeah, and they'll be drastically reduced. I mean, it's what it means for a kid to need to fill out a reflection in my classroom could be that when they're walking into the classroom, I greet every kid at the door and they don't make eye contact with me. And that to me is a sign like, ooh, something's not good. So I pull them aside and I'm like, what's going on? And they might fill out a reflection like right away, because reflection is not, remember, none of this stuff is like you're in trouble. This is learning.
It's what happens because something happened. It's not a punishment.
Yeah. Like, my kids do not fight filling out reflections. Like, I'll have kids get frustrated with me and they'll go fill out a reflection.
Because you're allowed to be frustrated.
You're allowed to be frustrated.
You're allowed to disrupt the class because you're frustrated.
Yes.
If you are frustrated, it's okay. We understand. That's why the Peace Corner exists. That's why the reflection process exists.
Yeah. You need to have a way for them to take a break from you and everyone else. I mean, I have kids that get frustrated with each other and then they just go off to the Peace Corner. They do not want anyone to interact with them.
We're adding stuff during the recap, though. That's against Lincoln Douglas rules.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm very passionate.
Yeah. But that's it. We got it. That's the
We got
recap,
it.
I think.
That's it.
Put the link to the monkey video in the show notes, and then people need to watch it.
I don't think anyone uses the show notes.
They will. No, they do.
I don't know, Jared. I'm just saying I've only gotten a couple of emails concerning the show notes. I'm not convinced.
Put it there, and then leave a comment on the monkey video on the YouTube and says, Teacher Talk sent me here. This is amazing. And we'll see.
No one's going to do it.
We'll
do
see.
it. Because it's more work for me when they use the show notes. And I have to actually take time.
That's what pro podcasters do, though. That's what you are now.
I'm not a pro podcaster.
Put it in the show notes. Watch the monkey video. Even if she doesn't put it in the show notes, just search for monkey cucumber
I'll put it in
grape.
there. I'll put it in there. Fine.
All right. Thank you, Johanna.
Thank you, Jared.
Johanna, do you get questions from listeners ever?
Yes, we do.
How do those listeners send you questions?
They send us an email.
Where does that email go?
teachertalk4teachers@gmail.com.
But wait, what kind of 4? How do I do 4?
All of the 4s. They can do a number 4. They can write the word FOR, or they can do FOUR, even though that one doesn't quite make sense.
Well, perfect. teachertalk4teachers@gmail.com.
Yes.
Thank you, Johanna.
Thank you, Jared.
Teacher Talk, the podcast for teachers who are lifers but still want to have a life.